Well, now it's time for our first interactive survey of the day, and I'd like to invite Marcus George and Sean Evers from Gulf Intelligence to conduct that with you. So get your clickers ready, and off we go. Marcus, over to you. Thank you.
We have some interactive survey questions for you. So the fun starts here. We all want you to get involved. And I've seen you pushing around those clickers. You don't have to be suspicious of them. They're very useful indeed. We will have about 5 questions, obviously on key topics that you've been debating already this morning over coffee. And to read the results and give a snap analysis, we have Sean, who should be appearing anytime soon, hopefully. There you are, right. Brilliant. Okay, right, now just so we know what's going on, you'll see the clicker. Very simple, don't be suspicious. Now when we get the question up, you'll have 4 or 5 different options to choose from. You can choose the corresponding letter option, and you'll be given about 10 seconds to do so. You will be able to change your decision, your choice, and the clicker will register your final decision, so just remember that. So, if we can have the first question, please. Here we go then. Right. Brent crude prices dropped to 5-year lows of about $45 a barrel in January, from more than $110 in mid-2014, before making a robust recovery to over $60 in February. What will be the price for Brent at the end of this year, at the end of 2015? Will it be $40 a barrel or lower, $50 a barrel, $60 a barrel, $70 a barrel, or $80 a barrel or higher? 5 options. So if we can have time on the clock, please. Make your decision. Here we go then. Right, Sean, what do you make of that?
60s and 70s. I suppose that's... When we did this recently in Abu Dhabi, the question was, what was the average price going to be for the year, rather than the price at the end of the year? And the average, of course, is a little bit more difficult. The average in the context of our recent polling has been this answer, 60s and 70s. In this instance, the price at the end of the year is 60s and 70s. And I think clearly a lot depends on in the earlier polling, in order to get to an average of $70, and obviously the price has to climb a lot higher because we've averaged at 40s in January, 50s or so in February. So to get up to an average of 70, you've got to hit 80 or 90, and that seems very unlikely. But this month there's some big developments that could impact the outlook of this answer, and that of course is how the agreement with Iran goes in the context of the nuclear talks. If there is a deal, then one could think that's somewhat soft for prices. If there isn't a deal, well, one could maybe make the expectation the exact opposite. The OPEC meets in June again. Speculation will grow whether a cut will come or not. Current consensus appears to be that there won't be any cut, and so they will, you could see prices hovering. But this is the consensus view, generally speaking, that we've had throughout our forums, and it continues here in Doha. Yes, please, Abdullah. Yes. No, I know, that's my point. This is not the average. This is the end of the year. We previously asked the question in the context of the average, but that this occasion, we just chose to go with what people think at the end of the year, because there's a lot of talk about recovery in the second half of the year, and as the market tightens and so on. So there, I think one could make it slightly easier forecast as to what it might be at the end of the year, rather than the average, which of course is quite more complicated.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, right. Very nice. On to question 2 then. Let's have a look at question 2. Here we go. What will be the most likely outcome of the current oil price range and volatility on the development of a new energy capacity over the short to mid-term, i.e. the next 2 to 5 years? We've got 5 choices here, and they are no impact, as NOCs will maintain investment commitments to add new capacity. Plans for new capacity of unconventionals across the world will be downgraded. 3, IOCs to maintain production targets by greater operational efficiency, even with lower capex. Number 4, US shale to stop adding new capacity and existing capacity may decline. And number 5, US plans to become a significant LNG exporter will be derailed. Here we go. Let's vote on this one. 10 seconds, please. Well, there you are. Seems that option 3 is the middle course. Sean, what did you vote for, by the way?
I voted for number 2. Plans for new capacity of unconventionals across the world will be downgraded. I suppose because the easiest one to answer, in a way, in the sense that it's already happening. We're clearly seeing the rig count in the US go down, while the production of unconventionals has not yet really been hit. But one would expect as the year goes on, most forecasts are that unconventionals will decline in the US. And then globally, which is what this question is answering in terms of number 2, across the world, whether in Europe we can see unconventionals, i.e. shale, there's a lot of sort of down, the outlook is looking not so positive in Poland, we've had Chevron pull out of Poland on their project, the outlook in the UK not looking good, and China has also downgraded their expectations for shale development. So generally speaking, with the softer price and the other issues related to unconventional production, it does seem to be on the wane. But I think number 3 is quite interesting, and I presume it's also a reflection of the audience. There's a lot of IOCs, perhaps. Yeah. Well, one is global and one is US. Which one did you vote, Your Excellency? I voted 4. 4. And do you think that is a... that's where the increase is coming from. You're right. So you have to look into that increase, and I think 4 is the most reasonable. No, the question to be raised, where else in the world anybody else producing other than the United States? But nowhere else, but plans for new capacity, yeah. The China outlook was looking to be quite significant. But what will have an impact on the supply is what happens to the US shale. Yeah. In the next 2 to 5 years. 2 to 5 years. Do you expect and hope it declines? I think it will if the price of oil will decline. No question about it. I think in the first lecture, they were underestimating the impact of the price on both the supply and the demand. Even the demand in the future, the decline in the oil price, of course, will increase the demand. Maybe the elasticity is low in the short term, but in the long term, the elasticity is not good.
Right, okay, thank you for your comment. Question 3, let's have a look at question. Another comment?
I think here we need to differ between investment in energy and investment in the oil sector. Because investment in energy, it means other sources of energy, solar, nuclear, which I see it that it will not be affected by the oil prices, especially in the Western countries.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Okay, question 3, here it comes. An estimated 100 million tons per year of new liquefaction natural gas capacity is set to hit the market between 2015 and 2018, which will represent about a 35% expansion over last year's total global LNG capacity of 290 million tons a year. Could this new LNG capacity trigger the end of the era of long-term natural gas supply agreements based on oil indexation price formulas? That was a bit of a mouthful. Why don't you vote yes or no on this one? 10 seconds. How's about that? What more can I say? Sean, what do you make of that?
Statistically, we have 121 responses, and it's 50-50. The machine must be broken. There must be one tipping the balance. I don't know what to say about that other than I think the noise around this issue might be sort of downplayed at the moment because of the price of gas has fallen so much, and so the oil index pricing to Asia in particular, where there has been most of the complaints have been coming from, are probably not going to be too loud at the moment when LNG prices are much lower. But in the long run, this issue obviously will thump along and may re-emerge as prices recover. Did you want to make a comment? No. Hamad, please.
I don't think it will go away. I mean, the oil indexation, to be honest. And if I use just, the outlook of my close friend here sitting beside me for oil price, which is $70, $75 in the coming few years, and when I take the outlook for gas prices, even in the US, and the volatility that could happen, you probably see a higher gas indexation, and most of the capacity that are planned to come is going to come from the US. So I didn't see it going away. Currently, for example, we have seen gas prices in Asia at lower compared to the indexation in Europe. The gas index, the NBP, as well as the Z-Hub, and all the hubs in Europe. So I think there is a loss of confidence in this mechanism of international gas indexation prices at this current situation. And I don't think it's going to go away.
The argument or the oil indexation?
No, it's the oil indexation will not go away.
Will not go away.
A country like India, for example, would probably prefer, oil indexation at a lower level rather than a gas indexation coming from US.
Right.
Because it is more expensive. I mean, if you look at it today, it's more expensive to import gas from US into, and at low Henry Hub prices, which is today, but it will only go up in the future.
Please, can you?
I think the key question to me is the question of risk. It's not a question of indexation per se. Obviously, we've been discussing for years about, in Europe, getting away from oil indexation to gas indexation. Why? Because the customer, the end customer, industrial customer, is wanting to buy on gas base. So the question is always then, what is your risk against your sales price versus your purchase price around it? And therefore, I think the answer here is pretty good, because it's probably going to say there will be some gas indexation and some oil indexation, as people are putting their views on how volatile will gas price be. So will Shell US Henry Hub will be volatile or not? I've heard both arguments. Saying there's so much elasticity that Henry Hub will be less volatile than the oil price, therefore people want some share of gas in the indexation, and we see that in India today, that they want a certain share of it. If you bet that oil is going to be more stable than gas prices, you'd write a higher share of that, but you're going to manage your risk based on this, and therefore I think both indexations will come in, and it will be a question from each region how much percentage of indexation you'll choose is basically on your view of what the volatility of the end consumer prices will be compared to what your purchase is.
Has E.ON had much success in moving suppliers away from oil index, and particularly in Russia?
I think individually I wouldn't comment on it, but we're not at 50-50 anymore.
Right.
We're more based on gas than on an oil, but we're not completely off oil.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to mention, really, things have changed. Last year, for instance, most customers do not want oil indexation because the price of oil was very high. Yeah. And many of them were talking about the Henry Hub and plus other costing factor. Now, with the decline in the oil price now, that sharp decline, things have changed. The mentality of the consumer and farmer. There is a high risk also if you go to Henry Hub or other kind of cost. So I think there is a shift now in the mentality of the customer regarding what do they prefer. And maybe they do prefer two kinds of indexation. Gas indexation and oil indexation to be mixed together.
And what about
the supplier who can do that, I think will succeed.
Which is indicated here.
Yeah, I think my comment, for the last 20 years as a minister, I'm trying, selling gas everywhere. I remember some customers will ask me, Henry Hub. I go and buy it. We cannot sell it by Henry. Others, they want oil index. Others, they want gas index. So as Dr. Ibrahim, it's emotional. When the oil price go down, they want oil index. When the oil go up, they want gas index. So it's confused with the customer what they want. So the customer even, they thought just shortly, the oil price go down, so we need oil index. When the oil go up again, they will come to you and say, no, we want gas index. So it's a very difficult, to what it means, gas index, and what it means.
Do you, as a supplier, does your mood also change?
No, it's not my mood as a supplier to change, because we never change. We try, as a supplier to see what's the best price, and the best price for my, for my depleted resource. But the customers always is changeable. He have very emotional. He changed from day to day. He looked to the oil index, yes. When was, as Dr. Ibrahim, I agree with him, when the price was 110, everyone used to be asked us that, we don't want oil, we want gas index. Now, they changed their mood, they want oil index. So sometimes it's confused what they want.
Yeah. I think that
50-50.
50-50, yeah.
I think
who knows, I think is probably
I think
the
it's
ultimate.
perfect, and I think people go to 50-50 because all of them, they are not sure what will be happening.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Very interesting comments. Let's move on to question 4 and 5, please. Here we go. Which is the greater challenge to planning for global energy security through to 2020? Number 1, demand uncertainty, or number 2, supply uncertainty? Time, please. Right. Answers. Demand uncertainty, 55%. Supply uncertainty, 45%. Sean, what do you make of that?
This has been a rather consistent response from our different forums to this question. Demand uncertainty is clearly of greater concern when you ask that question in a supplier exporting country. But I think it's actually quite accurate at this time that demand is more clearly of a concern and uncertain than supply when there's 2 million barrels a day of extra oil in the world, and there seems to be no shortage of gas emerging in different places. So demand security is clearly a question, and we're going to discuss that in the next session with the panel on the outlook for Asia and whether the Asian demand super cycle is coming to an end. But clearly the uncertainty of China as it declines now below 7% growth, which still seems quite a lot, but compared to 10% GDP growth each year, it's a big change. They are also getting a lot more efficient in their consumption of energy too. So clearly demand uncertainty is a majority, but it's a big enough number, 45% for a room, saying a supply is a concern. That's interesting in the context of the current market, at least. But anybody like to comment on that? 50-50. Nus. Yeah.
Right, okay. Okay, last question then. It looks like everybody's well awake this morning. Here we go. With crude supplies continuing to outstrip demand and inventories hitting record levels, the world's oil storage facilities, including tankers, are filling up rapidly. What's going to happen once they fill up? Number one, oil prices will slump below $40 a barrel. It's a short-term issue. Seasonal refinery maintenance will end soon and world energy demand will pick up in the summer. Or three, not a concern. The world won't run out of storage that easily. Please vote now. Okay, there we go. So a vast majority voting for choice number 2, 52%, that it's a short-term issue. Right.
Well,
what does this mean?
I suppose that's the hopeful answer in a way, that it is a short term, and the world won't run out of storage. You combine those two and you have a clear majority, but it nonetheless is interesting, unprecedented in early situation where we see such a level of inventory build. So the impact and the outlook is really uncharted waters, and it's clearly an opportunity to fill up storage. You wonder if that's due to price, because it's the price incentive, or if it's due to, as we saw in the last answer, supply uncertainty. So let's fill up our strategic reserves like China is doing and has been historically planning to do and are actually now doing it. But I would say that clearly the majority speaks there. It's sort of short-term, inshallah. Again, a comment from Noel, Kuwait.
I think this is what OPEC are praying for. I have a comment on the answer, number 2. I don't think that's correct to say that energy demand pick up in the summer. This is history is not correct. What we can say is world energy demand will pick up in the second half of the year, but not in the summer, because in summer there is seasonal decline, especially in the light products.
Please.
Yeah, I think, it's not the number 2, I think, is the perfect. Not because of the crude oil, but even in June in America, what they call gasoline month, people use more. Today, with the gasoline price go down sharply, from America was picking to almost 4.50 cents, now almost $2. It will open, the ability to consume more gasoline. Americans, they love to drive. As one of the American friends told me, he said, as an American, I was born with car and I will die in the car. So they love to, and the ability, they will consume more. Not in America, also in a lot of part of Asia, will also encourage more people to buy cars, big cars, because it's a cheap gasoline. So this is, the refineries will start, to consume, to produce more gasoline. Low price, it's perfect for a lot of consumers in the whole world.
I think nonetheless, when the short-term answer, obviously number 2 is currently the trend, or currently the expectation, there is the fact that inventories are building in places that didn't build before, like China, and they will probably maintain and continue to build because it is a strategic reserve rather than commercial stocks, which will probably come off in the summer. So.
Right. Okay, good. Well, that wraps that up. Thanks very much for taking part in that. And there's lots of debate to be had, so do get involved in all of the sessions. Thank you very much, Dial.
Thank you very much, Marcus.